Hey everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I wanted to do a video about drawing hair. This is a do this, not that video, so I will be showing you what I consider to be sort of the less good way of drawing hair, but just a reminder, these videos are just supposed to be helpful, and if you like the way that you're doing it now, then you could disregard all of my advice and don't worry too much about it. The other thing I wanted to say is, look at this gross ear. I couldn't draw ears today, so this is what we get. It's kind of lumpy. Sorry about that. So when I was young, I used to try to draw every strand of hair, and basically what that would end up looking like is this. It ends up looking a little messy and strange. I know there's people who can draw like that, but it's really hard and it takes up a lot of time. So what I do instead is I block out the shape of the bangs or whatever part I'm drawing, and then I just add more and more little strands and details until it starts to look like hair and not like, like fabric, I guess. So basically on the bangs I'm showing you sort of how the whole process works. So to the left is the very basic block, and then I add more and more detail until it looks like nice flowing hair. The next thing I want to talk about is the anime spikes. I used to do this a lot because I loved anime, but if you want hair to look naturally spiky and textured, what you can do is sort of make it a little bit more curved and not quite so straight up and down. If it looks more affected by gravity, it'll look more natural. Not that people can't do those kind of anime spikes in real life, but yeah, if you're going for a natural look, not so aggressive would be good. I also used to do curly hair, just like curly cues, but you want to think of the hair kind of like a ribbon when you're doing curls. It's looping around itself, so just try to show that looping sort of motion, and then again add more strands and details so it starts to look more like hair. It really is just best to use these weird block shapes and then go back in with the strands. The next part is the braid. I literally used to draw braids like that with just like circles and then a weird like spurt at the end of hair. But again, you want to draw the hair sort of interacting with itself, going behind other strands and that kind of thing. And yeah, just trying to make sure that it looks like it's actually interacting with itself. If that makes any sense. So there's another little pet peeve I have where the back of the head looks completely rounded, because unless your hair is super pulled back tight on your character's head, the back of the head will actually have like little waves and bumps in it because your hair doesn't sit so flat to the scalp, again, unless they have like a ballerina super tight to the scalp kind of hairstyle. One of the hairstyles I had the most trouble with when I was younger was the mohawk. I just couldn't figure out where to put it, and it always looked like it was sliding off the head or down by the eyebrows or something. But the trick with hairstyles like this is to establish the hairline first, because yeah, then you'll kind of know where to put everything. So you just want to make sure not to go away from the hairline, and think about the scalp as and the whole head as like a sphere. So you want to cut down the middle of the sphere, and just sort of do that curve down the center, and then again add more detail so it looks more like hair. It'll look more realistic if you have an interloper or two, like that little strand that looks like it's just sort of defying the hairstyle, because as we all know, hair tends to disagree with us sometimes. Also, if you do this kind of hatching, I find it looks more like fluffy shaved hair. That might just be my preference, but I like it better than the sort of burned look that I used to do. So now I'm just going to sort of do basically the most luscious, beautiful shoujo manga hairstyle I can, and compare it to this low effort attempt over on the other side. So when I think about like really beautiful, intricate hair, usually it's the kind of hairstyle that has like, different elements. Usually the texture is like wavy, because straight hair is a lot easier to do. And I accidentally opened GarageBand, but Yeah, so I'm starting with straight bangs again, just because there's something I specifically want to show you with the straight bangs that can make them look way more dynamic. So I'm approaching it the same way I did before at first, but the secret here is make another layer and then put, again, sort of interloper hairs, these rebellious hair pieces that don't perfectly align to, you know, the other pieces of hair, and erase anywhere where they intersect, and suddenly it looks like the hair has multiple layers to it, and it looks fluffier and more interesting and dynamic. So I really recommend doing that, where the hair is sort of disagreeing with the layer underneath. It really gives it more volume and whatnot. So also having pieces interact and intersect with the face is a really good idea. So I'm doing this loose princessy braid on one side of her hair. This is, you know, a classic show-off thing to do, to have a really beautiful braid, and it's because it's difficult. I mean, you have to make the hair look like it's looping around itself and try not to get confused. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to kind of think about it mathematically and figure out where each piece of hair would be coming out. And again, I'm going on another layer and just making all these little hairs that didn't quite make it into the braid or are sticking out. Ironically, the messiness actually makes it look fancier when you're drawing, whereas of course in real life, you know, neat braids are probably, well, I guess messy braids are quite in right now, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. You also want the hair to interact with the body, so obviously some strands will be going over her shoulders, and while others, you know, are behind her. Really just, yeah, creating that illusion that everything is in real space and is three-dimensional even though it's not. And that's really the trick with drawing in general. Just, I mean, creating that illusion is something a lot of people really strive for. It's sort of the Disney method. And yeah, so I'm just going in, I'm trying to make sure there's lots of detail, that all the strands of hair are flowing inside the block of hair that they exist in. And this can be quite relaxing or quite stressful. I think the trick is just making sure you have more than one layer so that when you want to have pieces interacting with each other, it's not so difficult to clean it up afterwards. So yeah, just anytime something looks a little weird or blank or something, just go back in, add more strands, maybe add a chunk going another direction, until it starts to look real beautiful. So on the other side, basically I'm going to sort of do the lowest effort version of this. So basically your hairstyles, I wouldn't recommend doing this kind of super elaborate hairstyle for like a comic unless you really love it, because it does take forever, and you know, there is a place for these kind of low effort hairstyles on the other side. But if you're doing an illustration and you really want it to be intricate and beautiful, putting the effort into the hair can really make a piece pop. I mean, as you can see, her face is very simple, and yet the whole illustration looks a lot more elegant just because of this effort I put into the hair. So yeah, it's something you want to have in your little toolbox as an artist. You obviously don't have to show off every time because, again, you will exhaust yourself. And if you look at my comic, you'll see I don't do this kind of super elegant hair pretty much ever in the comic, just because it's not reasonable for sequential stuff and like animation usually. So I'm just coloring them now. Basically, another thing with doing a lot of intricate line work, you want to be careful with your colors, because if you go too ham on the coloring aspect and the shading aspect, you can actually bring people's attention away from all this hard work you did. It literally took me about an hour to do the inking on her hair, and I'm actually usually pretty fast when I draw. I'm sure my last video where I did the time trial probably makes you not believe that, but I swear I'm usually pretty fast at drawing. And so spending an hour on just one part of a character is pretty unusual for me, but it is kind of relaxing. So here's the final product. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Again, it's not something I do every day, but since so many people were asking about hair, I thought I'd really do my absolute best and try to do the most sort of beautiful hair I could do. Before this video ends, I really want to extend a sincere thank you to all of you. My last video got over 3,000 comments and only 2 of them were negative. I've never seen such an outpouring of sweetness and just very, you said such kind things, you guys, and it really tickled me. I was very happy. I was having kind of a hard week, and just seeing all these sweet comments you guys were making was just, it was just bringing a lot of joy to my life. And I think it really says a lot about our community here, and the fact, I mean, it says a lot about you guys. I really am I feel so honored that I have this kind of community watching my videos, so thank you so much. This video is sponsored by my patrons, including Den, Brock, Juan Alvarez, Chartype, Charles Despians, Adrian Delport, Adrian Morales, At Liv Likes to Draw, Paynamel, Kate Meekins, Caitlin Foss, and Muffins McGee. Thank you guys so much for your support.